Okay. Now I just want you to pay attention to this intro again real quick. I was watching it and I managed to pick up on some things, but right now it's just pieces of information and nothing really to go on. Alright, so we're back with some more of that 999 son. Now, the intro to this game is making me think that there is so much more to this than simply the game itself. If you just look at the opening, it starts off with why do I know these things, you know? And then there's these random pieces of information about ice that won't melt until 96 degrees Fahrenheit, and how there was 1500 victims, and people went missing and stuff. So yeah, I think there's a lot to go on. So let's just get into it for now. So where we left off last time, let's just load up our state. Where we left off last time, we just did the slot machine. We just did a slot machine puzzle, and we managed to seek a way out of the room. And in the process, we managed to unlock that was it Saturn's door? You know how those doors that are locked with the symbols for the planets and everything. We managed to find a key that I think was for Saturn. It was the female sign, I believe. Anyway, or Venus or something. Okay, I got me a cup of tea, mate. So we just managed to open our door, and we are running down. I think we're running down to I want to say C deck. So yeah, let's go into that. In no time at all, they found themselves on C deck. Oh, dude, that memory, son. Junpei ran down the stairs a little farther, in hopes of checking on the deck below. When he reached the water, he called back up to Snake and Seven. Just what I thought. The deck is completely underwater. Just like the bottom of the central staircase. The surface of the water below them was flat, like a mirror. That it had not changed too greatly since they'd last seen it was a great relief. Junpei quickly retraced his steps and headed back to C deck. In front of the stairs were a pair of elevators. They appeared to be identical to the ones from the upper floor. Between them, attached to the wall, was another card reader. And next to that was another strange symbol. Hey, check it out, it's that symbol for Lotus. What? See, it's got the woman symbol. And then it's got devil horns, right? Are you funny? Stop. Yeah, I see it. No two ways about that. That was a pretty good one, kid. Seven tussled Junpei's hair in what he likely thought to be a friendly manner. Junpei feared his neck might break, even though it was clear Seven had kept his strength in check. Thankfully, Snake interrupted. After Junpei's observation, he'd gone over to examine the card reader. Well, this is a Mercury symbol. The marks you mistook for horns are a stylized version of the wings and staff of Hermes. Wings and a staff, huh? So, she beats you with the staff until you die and go to heaven? Sounds like Lotus, alright. Christ. Seven shook Junpei's head even more vigorously. And the younger man began to feel as though his brain was being jolted about inside of his skull. Began to feel rather ill. Unless we can activate this device, I doubt the elevator will function. In other words, we gotta find a key card with a Mercury symbol on it. So I would assume. They decided to leave the elevators alone for the time being and headed back to the stairs. To the left was another hallway. Oh, fuck me! Fuck me! Look at all the— oh, blood! This is some Scooby-Doo shit! There were a great many doors lining both sides of the hallway. They seemed to stretch on forever, and all three men suddenly felt very small. Ah, shit. We're not gonna have enough time to check all of these, are we? Maybe we can come back here later. Let's check out the other side. They turned around and went back the way they came. To the right of the stairs, another hallway stretched out, reaching deep into the bowels of the ship. Another few moments of moving briskly down the hallway. They emerged into an area roughly the same size and shape as the one at the top of the stairs. Oh god, I think a dog just fell down the stairs or something. They crazy. On the left side of the room were 4 French doors. What makes these doors French? Is there a certain style to making these doors French, or can they talk to you or something? I don't understand what makes these doors French. Well, let's open them up. Junpei nodded and grabbed the one closest to him. Oh god. He gave it a small tug and felt it move. It was unlocked. Thrilled to have found another unlocked door, he threw it open. Yeah, tell me about it, man. You're so grateful for doors being able to move without having to, you know, figure out what E equals. Junpei didn't know what to make of what he saw. Hold up. My dogs are going crazy. I need to like silence them. I saw number 3 then. It's Dobby, man. Once he starts going, he's like fucking Pringles, son. He just can't stop. Alright. Junpei didn't know what to make of what he saw. He simply stood, unable to speak. Seven's eyes opened wide and his mouth gaped. After a few long moments, Seven at last managed to speak. Hey. What is this place? A massive room stretched out in front of them. More a cavern than a room. Its vastness was oppressive, and it bore down on Seven and Junpei. There's a lot of beds here. Now, we mentioned in the opening that a lot of people went missing and there was 1,500 victims. I don't want to say there's 1,500 beds here, but there's definitely a lot of them. It was not empty, however. The entire room was filled with lines upon lines of beds. They were simple things, little more than pipe and thin mattresses. Is this a hospital? He had at last been able to put a name to the harsh scent that pervaded the room. The room was full of the clean smell of antiseptic solution. In the center of the room were shelves stacked with medicine, and a number of medical devices, the function of which Junpei did not know. More importantly, however, on the back wall of the room were 4 doors. 3 of them were emblazoned with large single-digit numbers, made with thick red paint. 3. The door on the left was labeled 3. The second door from the left had no number, but the third had been given a 7. The door on the right bore an 8. There could be no doubt. they were numbered doors. Well, nice to have you on board, dear Watson. Open and shut case. These are numbered doors. Note the numbers on these doors. It did strike Junpei as weird, however, that the door between 3 and 7 should be blank. What, he wondered, could it mean? Let's take a look at these doors. Yeah, good idea. The three of them threaded their way through the beds toward the back of the room. Upon reaching them, they proceed to investigate each door in turn, but to no avail. Ah, even that one's locked. That's interesting. Yeah, locked, just like I thought. Well, naturally. After all, there are rules to the nonary game, and to allow those doors to open easily would violate those rules. Unless we can authenticate ourselves with the red, the numbered doors will... Whoa, whoa, whoa! Check this out. Suddenly 7 spoke up, interrupting Snake. Look at the red. There's nothing on it. Huh? Don't you remember the red back at the main staircase? There wasn't anyone in it. It said vacant on the little screen, remember? Is there people inside this room? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But this one... there's nothing. Right. You think it's broken? Well, only one way to find out. Junpei and the others put their hands on the panel, but nothing happened. The red refused to change. They tried pulling the lever and still nothing. As they soon discovered, it wasn't only the red on door 8 that seemed to be malfunctioning. The red on door 7 and the red on door 3, none of them worked. What, they wondered, did it mean? They gotta be broken. Man, that bastard. I don't think Zero was the kind of guy who'd screw around with something like this. Whoa, whoa. Zero's been prepared for everything so far. And you're saying he's gonna make a mistake now? Well, that's the only thing I can think of. This thing ain't working at all. While Junpei and 7 talked, Snake busied himself with examining the red. After a time, he lowered his hands and spoke. It seems as if some of the internal hardware has been removed. Internal hardware? That is what I said. Take a look at the underside of this red, if you please. Junpei obliged and bent over to look at the underside of the device. A long, thin slit ran along the bottom of it. As he looked harder, he realized it was more of a slot than a slit, and that it was clearly meant to accommodate some manner of electrical device. The other 2 reds were the same. Something had clearly been removed from all 3 of them. I get it. So the reds aren't working because somebody pulled out their guts. So I assume. But why? And who? I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. I have no idea. Why on earth would I know something like that? Just then, they heard the sound of a door opening. The 3 of them turned and saw Akane. Oh no, Junpei thought, it's June. She sorry, I choked on myself. She stopped short, surprised to see them, and was very nearly bowled over by the rest of her companions who were coming through the door behind her. Ah, right, okay. Ace, Santa, Clover, and Lotus all poured out the door. Each of them as surprised as the last to see Junpei, Snake, and 7. Junpei and 7 were, for the moment, at a loss for words. What are you guys doing? Why are you... After a moment of silence and surprise, everyone suddenly began to talk, desperate to exchange the information they got. They talked about the rooms they'd been through, and how they'd ended up in the same place. Of course, none of it was very useful information, but that hardly mattered. They were just happy to simply see one another again. Although the level of cheer varied greatly from person to person, each one of them was wearing some manner of smile. Almost as though they had already forgotten about the death of the ninth man. No, thought Junpei. Perhaps that wasn't it. Perhaps thoughts of his death were what drove them to smile at one another. Not in a morbid or hateful way, no. The ninth man had died. But they were still alive, and that was something to be happy about. A sort of simple, uncomplicated joy, Junpei thought. The joy of being alive. Still alive. He felt sorry for the ninth man, but more than anything, Junpei was just happy to be alive. This is bad, though. I mean, this is bad, though! Here we go. If the red isn't working, we can't keep going! What about the big hallway? Maybe there's something in there we might be able to go. Somewhere in there we might be able to go. Nah, there's nothing there. The five of us had a quick look. There were a great many rooms, although none of them appeared to have held patients for quite some time. Patients? You know those doors of hospital rooms? Yeah. Apparently, you have a number of individual rooms in addition to this large central room.
There's a door down the end of the hallway. Tell me it was locked.
It had one of those solar system mark things on it.
It was the Jupiter symbol.
Jupiter?
I wonder what it means.
Confusion seemed to be very consensus. That reminds me. What's the deal with this big room anyway? What is this thing? Was this some kind of huge passenger ship? No one, not even Snake, appeared ready to offer an answer until Seven unexpectedly spoke up. I bet it's a hospital ship. In fact, it's probably the Gigantic. The Gigantic? Junpei looked at Seven, shocked both by his knowledge and the apparent identity of their prison. This guy, man, something about him is just kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say off, because I'm not getting those kind of like, well, you sketch Seven kind of vibes. But the fact that he has amnesia, yet well, the things that he does remember are so damn relevant and specific to the events of this ship is crazy. I mean, he knew about the Baccarat table. He knows about this ship possibly being the Gigantic. It's very strange, but yet he doesn't recall how we got here and everything. I don't know. He was not the only one. And what's the Gigantic? Seven nodded to Lotus and began to speak. The Gigantic. He explained that she had been a sister ship to the Titanic, built in the early 20th century. The Titanic had two sister ships, who were identical to one another in nearly every aspect. The Gigantic was said to be one of them. She was initially intended to be a passenger liner, like the Titanic, but soon after the ship was launched, the First World War began, and she was pressed into duty by the British Navy as a hospital ship. Sometime later, the Gigantic was damaged by a German mine in the, Aegean Sea? I've never even heard of that sea before. Oh damn. Learning things, man. Education. She managed to run around after the incident, and consequently was not sunk. What then happened to the Gigantic after a fateful encounter in the sea? One theory ran that a man named Lord Gordane purchased her. Lord Gordane. I see. A lord, assuming he has a lot of money and is able to pull off such a stunt like this. Lord Gordain, it seemed, had been one of the few survivors of the Titanic tragedy. Scratch that then. And that trauma had turned him into an obsessive collector of all things related to the Titanic. As his obsession deepened, he began to desire the Titanic itself. Huh? That, of course, was impossible. The Titanic lay at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The Gigantic, however, had not suffered such a dire fate, and as she was identical to her sister ship, she caught Lord Gordain's eye. So you're saying this Lord Gordain bought this ship? Yeah. At least, I think I am. That's impossible. No way we're in some boat that's almost 100 years old. Now pipe down, just pay attention. What? That's it? Have you got any proof? Proof? Yeah, proof that this ship is really the Gigantic. Well, this ship's got stuff that's like the Titanic and the hospital ship. So I just figured. Oh, for goodness. Don't tell me that's your only reason. No, I've got more. Like? I mean... Seven looked around desperately, doing anything to avoid meeting Lotus's piercing stare. He scratched his head for a moment, then gave up. Finally he opened his mouth. I don't know. Lotus sighed and shook her head. Well, I guess your memory isn't back yet, is it? No, sorry. And almost as if to save Seven from further embarrassment. Oh, the clock! A bell began to ring from far away. It sounded as though it was the clock at the main stairway. Junpei counted each chime carefully. 10, 11, 12. We have 6 hours then, I think.
It's midnight. And yeah, we still got 6 hours left, right?
Let's just get moving. We gotta find that hardware the Red's missing. That's all well and good, but where are we gonna start looking? Well, we searched the big patient room. They had been examining the room as they talked, but we haven't found anything. Right. Well, there's only one thing left to do. Just one? Oh, well, no, not just one. Wait a minute. You telling me we have to search all these rooms? I ain't doing it! I ain't doing it! Well, you already checked out some of them, didn't you, before you came here? Well, we each checked a single room, so... 5 rooms in total. Alright then, that's 5 rooms we don't have to search. If we split up, it won't be that bad. If each of us can do 6 rooms apiece, we'll have the other 48 rooms cleared in no time. There are 48 other rooms? Mental! Lotus did not seem excited by this prospect. Seven fidgeted nervously before responding. Maybe? After some discussion, the 8 of them decided which rooms to begin with, and in what order they would go. Junpei was chosen to search the rooms on the starboard side, moving from fore to aft. Brilliant. I think starboard is the right side. They also determined when they would return to report their findings, the next time the clock sounded the time. When it did, they would meet back in the large central room full of beds. If during their search any of them were to locate the missing components, they were to yell for the others. If this strategy failed, they'd return to discuss their options later. The details decided, they left to begin searching. Out into the hallway they went, each of the rooms they'd been assigned. However... Oh, buddy, I'm scared. What? From far away, Junpei heard the bell ring. It did so only once. It was 1 a.m. Wait, what? No, what? Oh, okay, so we just like did a time warp to 1 hour ahead. I was like, what the fuck? That was a really quick hour. Okay, he jogged through the entrance of the large hospital room to find 6 of the doors already there. A, Santa Clover, June, 7, and Lotus. They had gathered in front of a door numbered 8. Or perhaps to be accurate, they had gathered in front of the red, next to a door number 8. Had one of them found the missing piece? What happened, guys? It was June who answered him.
Jumpy, look!
She was pointing at the red. He pushed through the others until he stood in front of it. Huh. Oh, so every hour a different door is going to become unlocked, I guess. Immediately, he knew what she meant. The display of the front of the red read vacant. Junpei sighed. Come on, guys, who was it? I thought we were supposed to yell if we found it.
Well...
Junpei wondered why she was hesitating. The others looked as confused as June, but kept their mouths shut. What the hell? What's up with you guys? They all knew something he didn't, and Junpei wasn't about to leave things that way. Finally, Lotus frowned and spoke. Well, that's the thing. We don't know. You don't know? When I got back here, it was already like this. There was no one else here. That means I was the first one back, but the missing part's already back in the red. Junpei looked at the bottom of the red again, just to make sure. The slot that had been open on the bottom was now covered with metal. What the hell? So it's not that this was activated on the time. It was that someone actually put this piece back into it. But why would one of us do that without telling the others? I mean, there'd be no point in doing this secretly and going through the door themselves. They'd blow up. This couldn't have been one of us. Or if it was, why would they do that? Clearly, whatever had been missing had been returned. What about the other 2? Well, they're the same. Junpei quickly examined the 2 boxes. Satisfied that they were also repaired, but still very confused, he returned to the others. Alright, I just want to be sure here. Nobody has any idea what the hell happened here, right? Ace and June nodded silently. 7 raised his hands as if to say, not me, and Santa just shrugged. Only Clover lowered her head and did nothing.